Hello and welcome back to the Satellite Communication Lecture Series. And today we'll be talking of the design of downlinks and link power budget. So in the earlier lectures we talked about the basic transmission theory, system noise temperature and G by T ratio. Today we'll be dealing with design of downlinks and link power budget. So before we go ahead, we need to have a big picture clear. The aim of this module is to design a satellite link that includes the uplink as well as the downlink. In this particular lecture, we will be talking about designing of downlink here. Because we know designing here means taking into consideration the C by N ratio in the permissible limits and going ahead with the design so that the cost of the whole system is getting reduced, or the optimal cost is involved in the designing of the systems. So one by one we'll take both of them, the downlink first and then the uplink. So design of downlink, it is the art of good system design wherein we reach the best compromise of system parameters that meets the specification at the lowest cost. So it's very important to meet the specification, which is actually most of the time given prior to the designing, to the when the designing actually starts. So if we are designing something, we need to achieve some goal in terms of the specification given, and that whole achievement has to be done at the optimal cost. So how we are going to basically attain that objectives? So the objectives are based on two things. First one is meeting a minimum CNR for a specified percentage of time and carrying the maximum revenue earning traffic at the minimum cost. As I said, the definition itself of a design of anything involves the reaching the limit, the minimum permissible limit at the optimal cost, and that is what has led to these objectives here. So what we are saying in the first objective, we want to meet a minimum CNR for a specified percentage of time, that we want to meet the minimum CNR, but it's not that we have to meet it for the all time. I mean, there is a specific percentage of time wherein we are in a situation to be lenient about that aspect. So this is like a tolerance. So we'll talk about it in the next slide. And the next thing is carrying the maximum revenue. So because everything is involved with the cost, and we have to anyhow get that money back. I mean, the cost that we have spent on is going to come back with this income from the satellite only. So we have to generate that revenue. Now, that same example, as I said, the first one is meeting a minimum CNR for a specified percentage of time, and that specified percentage of time, I just wanted to elaborate. Taking an example of the rain attenuation. So satellite communication, obviously we know it's get affected by rain attenuation. And we also know that the satellite in general is basically launched in the three ranges of the frequency, that is 6 by 4, 14 by 11 and 30 by 20, which are from C band, KU band and Ka band respectively. We also know that the rain attenuation increases as the frequency increases. So in most of the time, as we go higher in frequencies, there is probability that we might have an outage. Because the rain attenuation is increasing, that might lead to increase in the noise power and thereby decreasing the C by N ratio. So as we saw in the last slide here, that C by N is basically equal to PR divided by KTSBN. This is something that we have already gone across in the last lectures. So talking again here is, so what we can expect. So if the rain attenuation is increasing and C by N is decreasing, it might lead to decreasing the CNR below a permissible limit. So this might lead to an outage. So either we can design a system which is having no outage, or which an outage which is in the permissible limits again, or the tolerance. So we can define that tolerance here. So we can say that, okay, we are fine with 0.01 percentage of outage in a year. So this way we are in a position to actually define the tolerance level in respect to this outages. So in general, we just want to go across the values too. Satellite links are typically designed to achieve reliabilities of 99.5 to 99.99%, averaged over a long period of time, typically years. So as I said, most of the time this tolerance is basically is averaged over a long period, like in a year. And if you see here, the value is 99.5 to 99.99. That means 0.5% to 0.01% is something that we are tolerating the outages for in a complete year. So this means that the CNR in the receiver will fall below the minimum permissible value for proper operation of the link for between 0.5 to 0.01% of the specified time. The link is then set to suffer an outage, and this is when the power that we are receiving, corresponding to that, the C by N ratio that we calculated, if that value comes below the minimum permissible limit of the CNR, then the outage is said to occur. Now, C links, I just want you to relate yourselves with the outages, the value of the outages that we have for different bands. So if you see the C band, it is generally designed to achieve 99.99% reliability, because the rain attenuation at the C band is comparatively lower than the other bands, that is KU and KA bands. Here the rain attenuation rarely exceeds 1 to 2 dB. So the time corresponding to 0.01% of the year, if you calculate, it comes out to 52 minutes. So if by making this tolerance, and if we are able to save a lot of money, then obviously we will do that. So outage time for the case of K band is generally 8 hours to 40 hours. And why we are interested in KU band here is because KU band is the range of frequency where we are using this TTH TV. So what is the outage times in that band? It is from 0.1 to 0.5%. So if you compare with the C band, the tolerance has actually, we have increased it, because it is the rain attenuation itself in this band is comparatively high, and we have to, if we don't increase the permissible outage or the tolerated outage, then we'll not be able to reduce the cost of that satellite. So we know that this whole rain attenuation can be overcome with the help of certain methods, like either we increase the power level, or somehow we increase the forward error correction coding rate, or the modulation when the rain attenuation occurs. So in a way, we are trying to do something with the PR so that the CNR remains above the permissible value. And this particular technique of increasing the forward error correction coding rate and the modulation is basically known as adaptive coding and modulation. So it has been adapted in many of the methods, many of the satellites. Now we'll start with the link budget. So with this background, that we are going to design uplink and downlink both. And then we saw specifically for rain attenuation that it's not about doing the perfect things. We have certain tolerance also, which might lead to a large reduction in the cost. So basically it's a trade-off, what we can tolerate and how much money we want to invest basically. So that is what we are going to talk about here in the link budget. So what is a link budget? A link budget or a power budget is basically a tabular method for evaluating the received power and noise power in a radio link. It is similar to the monetary budget, where the received power is regarded as the equivalent to income and the losses are equivalent to expenditure. So that's not the first time that we are coming across the word budget. So budget, we have already seen many a times where we actually, there is a trade-off between the income and the expenditures. We want to balance the two basically. So here also that we are doing the same thing. Only thing here is obviously putting things at the minimum cost is one of the ultimate ultimate aim of the whole system design. But what is even more important is to manage the received power. I mean, we want to have a received power at its maximum and the losses to its minimum. So here we are comparing or we are drawing an analogy between the received income, that is with the received power, and losses with the expenditure with the losses. Going ahead, now we know that we have so many complicated formulas in the case of satellite link design, some of which we have gone across and many of them we haven't gone across. So the values, all these things are too complicated. So what we want to actually make it a bit simple for us. So what we do, these link budgets are generally done in using the decibel units, and we know the advantages of decibel units. When we use decibel units, we actually convert all the division into subtraction and all the multiplication into addition. So in that way, we have a very simplistic approach towards the link budget. It's just the addition and subtraction. So it is, since it is usually impossible to design a satellite link accurately at the first attempt, so link budget make the task much easier. So if you have to do whole process of division, multiplication time and again, it becomes very tedious. So what we have done is, because we all know that satellite link design, it cannot be done in the first attempt. When the actual designing is taking place, we have to take, I mean, there are many trade-offs. If we increase some of them, the power will increase. If we want to decrease something, so that way we are doing some permutation and combinations. So we need to have something which is in tabular form, so that we quickly can analyze the things what is affecting us. So that is why we are taking it in the tabular form, and we are doing all the calculations in the decibel units only. So now we all know that the link budget, when the question comes that when this link budget has to be, is it to be calculated in the best cases or the worst cases? And the answer is that we need to calculate the link budget in the worst case scenario, because only in the worst case scenario we happen to come with the minimum CNR, and which can lead to sometimes outages which we need to bother about. So what we are doing in link budget, we'll consider all the worst case scenarios. So what are the factors that contribute to the worst case scenario? They can include, like if the Earth station is located at the edge of the satellite coverage zone or the spot beam, or the maximum path length for the satellite to the Earth station. So if it is good that we have a smaller path length, but what will happen if the path length that we have designed for is having a maximum? So in that case, so all these are the factors where we are going to calculate our link budget. Then again, a low elevation angle at the Earth station, giving the highest atmospheric path attenuation in clear air. Then the fourth point is maximum rain attenuation on the link. So we consider, even if there is no rain, we are considering the worst case scenario. What will happen if the rain is there? And not only the rain is there, it's the maximum level. If the maximum rain is there and if the rain attenuation is involved, then what will be the link budget? So we are calculating that way. Many more points are also considered, but these are the main important factors that we should actually consider while we are considering the worst case scenario while designing the satellite link. Now we will take an example to understand the link budget. So this picture, pretty time and again we have gone through, and we all know there are uplink data channel which is sending the signal, and there are feedback channels too that is coming through from the satellite towards the Earth station. So there are basically 4 links that is established in the uplink, the Earth station to satellite. Again, in the uplink only, if you see here, there is feedback channels. Similarly, on the downlink too, there are downlink data channel and the feedback channels. So this equation that we see here, PR So if you see this equation, this is something that we have seen in the last lectures. So power received is basically equal to EIRP, which is, what is EIRP? Effective isotropically received power. So that is PT, effective isotropically radiated power. That is basically PT into GT. So plus GR minus LP, LP is path loss, LA is atmospheric loss, LTA is transmitting antenna losses, LRA is receiving antenna losses. So if we want to basically calculate the received power, we have to add all the powers, obviously, and the gains, and subtract all the losses that are involved. Similarly, we have the noise power. Noise power is basically equal to KTSB, and that is also, we have gone it in detail in the last lecture. So if we want to calculate it in dB watts, we have to obviously add the individual values. That is, N is equal to K plus TS plus BN, where all K is K, TS and BN are in dB. So we have to convert these in dB, and then we have to directly add it up. So now we will see this example. So as we know here, there are 2-3 things involved. The details of the uplink transmitting antenna, the details of the satellite, and the details of the receiving earth station. So now, because we are talking of the design of downlink, we have 2 things into consideration. That is the satellite and the receiving earth station antenna. So we'll just look this, go through these parameters, which is of the satellite. Now this particular design of downlink that we are attempting here is for the C band, and we know C band is 6 gigahertz uplink and 4 gigahertz downlink. So we are going through that. So all the details of the satellite, that is C-band satellite, is given in this table. So transponder saturated output power. We all know that a satellite will have a number of transponders. When we are calculating link budget, we are doing it for the individual transponders, because each individual transponders are going to radiate or going to transmit some power, and that might be same for different transponders or might be different too. So that is the reason why we are calculating these link budgets for the individual transponders. So here it is written transponder saturated output power. So if you see here, the output power is 80 watt. This is the saturated, the maximum output power that the transmitter actually give. So in the worst case scenario, we are here considering what is the output power that is given maximum, the saturated output power. Then this value we have converted into all, as I said, all the values needs to be converted into dB. Here antenna gain at the satellite is given. Here it is GT is equal to 20 dB, again calculated in dB. Transponder bandwidth, we all know, we have seen that, the whole picture of how the frequency is distributed on the earlier lectures. So we have seen that there in the C band there is 36 megahertz allotment, but again the question will be, in the question it will be given here. So downlink frequency band, so because it is C band, it has to be centered around 4 gigahertz. So the downlink frequency band is from 33.7 to 4.2 gigahertz allotted to different transponders. So digital noise bandwidth is 30 megahertz. These are all corresponding to the satellite. Minimum permitted overall CNR in receiver. So here it gives us idea of what is the minimum. As I said, we have to consider the minimum CNR permitted, because that will only lead us to whether the signal is getting received or whether it is in the outage. So with this, we will go ahead with the receiving C-band earth station. So once we have the details of the satellite, we'll go ahead and talk about this C-band earth station. So in the earth station, what we need to have is we have the receiving downlink frequency. It's a 4 gigahertz. The gain of the receiving earth station should be defined at the frequency it is actually receiving the signal, which is the 4 gigahertz here. So gain of the receiving antenna here is 49.7 dB. The bandwidth is 30 megahertz. Then we have receiver IF bandwidth. Then we have the receiving system noise temperature. So this with the help of this parameters that has been given, we can actually calculate the noise par at the receiver. For noise par, we know that it is K, TS, Bn. So in this, if you see, TS and Bn is given, and K is Boltzmann constant, which is a constant. So we know the value. So with the help of this, in the information given in the table, we can actually calculate the noise par. So now we will do with the information of the two tables that was shown in the earlier two slides. We put all these together in the tabular form so that we get actually what is the power received at the earth station. So if you see, the first one, that is output power, was given. We have just written it again. Satellite gain on axis at the transmitting of the transponder. We have written here 20 dB. A transponder back off. This again information, whatever information has been given, we have to make it in a tabular form. So this information was also given: transponder output back off, that is of 2 dB. So this is a kind of loss we have. So all the losses we'll write with the minus sign, and all that is leading us to gain something, so we'll write it in the plus form. So PT is the power, it has to be written in plus. Gain obviously is increase of something, it has to be written in form of with the sign of plus. So moving ahead to the earth station gain, antenna gain, again plus 49.7. The losses, free space loss, as we have written here. So if you see here, this is free space path loss. So this we can easily calculate with the help of that formula that we have done, 4 pi r upon lambda whole square. So that we have calculated here in dB, and then that comes out to be minus 196. Obviously here we will if you edge of the beam loss is antenna loss in the antenna -3. So all losses that has been given, again the margin is also considered, and what we do here is we add all of them, taking into consideration all in sign. So we'll add all of these. So 19 plus 20 minus 2 plus 49.7 minus 196 minus 3 minus, so if we add all of them, this is the value that we get, that is minus 113.5 dB watt. So we actually this value we have already gone across when we were doing questions in the earlier module. So when we were talking about the power received, so here we have done all these things in the dB watt. Only thing that we have done different from what we have done earlier is that we have done here is we have done in the tabular form. So that makes us pretty clear what things we have lost. So this 2 dB is something that we have lost, this path loss is there, edge beam loss, this all these things are the losses that we have encountered here. So moving ahead now for calculating C by N, as I said, there are two things that is to be calculated. One is the power received and other is the noise power. So power received we have already calculated. Now moving ahead to the noise power. So we know that the noise power is basically equal to, so if you see this formula, we have gone across this formula, that is Pn is equal to K Ts Bn watts, and this N is equal to K plus Ts plus Bn, where all the values are in dB, so that we calculate C by N. So here we have done that again in the tabular form, and this is K, this is Ts, this is Bn, all added together, we will get the value minus 136.2 for this specific case, which is the noise power. Now what we have to do finally, we have to, our ultimate aim was to calculate CNR. So this is what we have done. We have the losses, we have the power received, we subtract the both of them, I mean PR minus K plus TS plus BN, which is equal to 22.7. So what we are saying here in this particular question, the value of CNR for all the values for this specific case comes out to be 22.7. And as we wrote in the first slide of this year, we saw here the minimum CNR. The minimum CNR was 14 dB. So, and this question we are getting 22 dB. So we are able, this is not a case of outage, we are able to receive the signal, which is with a CNR, which is more than the minimum CNR permissible. So I hope this gives a pretty good idea of how we do the CNR calculation of or the design links. And with this, we do for the real time design, we iterate the process by changing a certain things so that we achieve our desired goal. So you can take this example and solve it at home, just for practice. There are various questions also given in the book. So here at the end, we'll just move on. The link budget must be calculated for an individual transponder, and must be repeated for each of the individual links. So in a two-way satellite communication, there will be 4 separate links, each requiring a calculation of CNR. So we have already seen it, that we have calculated the CNR for a specific transponder, and we have to, again, this link budget has to be repeated if there are many transponders, and each having a different parameters. If the parameters are same, then obviously we need not do it again, and it has to be repeated for different links. If two-way communication is there, so there are 4 links involved, and we have to do for all of them. So here we have, if you see the overall system, it is uplink and downlink. So when a bent pipe transfer, as an example, when a bent pipe transponder is used, uplink and downlink CNRs must be combined and to give the overall CNR. And this calculation of the overall CNR with the help of individual CNR of uplink and downlink will be dealt in the next lecture. I hope things were clear, and thanks a lot for watching.